It's not about, where you went. What you do, how you do it, thinking you. And you can get it, everybody works on it. And we have, I mean, I was thinking of another thing. Work. And oh, absolutely. And somehow people will be on and support so they're I was tired.
Oh, here, that's good. Yeah. Hey, guys, how's it going? All right, let's go. Good, good.
Can you hear me? Okay, well, welcome to our town hall. I'm John Lumpkins, a District 3 Board of Supervisors member, and I'm just going to do some quick introductions of the board members, your representatives on the Board of Supervisors and the school board that are here. And then I'm going to turn it over to Vic Carpenter, and then you're going to hear from the county presentation, the budget, you know, this time of season is budget season, and we go over the budget, and we have some other things we'll talk about. Neil Spoonhour, District 2, he'll be here in a few minutes. I think he's running late, a few minutes late. But he and I spend a lot of time on transportation. So I'm interested to learn more about transportation, because every day I'm learning something more about transportation, which is a big topic for us. After the county presents, after our county administrator, Mr. Carpenter, presents, we'll turn it over to Dr. Rayleigh. I think Karen Horn may do an introduction. So we have Susan Lascalette, District 1, Board of Supervisors is here up the front. Like I said, Neil will be with us. That's all the board supervisors members I see. Karen Horn, District 3, now 2, is here. So we'll hear from the school board a little bit. Angela Allen is also the other, this is y'all's 2 town hall for Districts 2 and 3. And I saw Mike Newman, District 4, towards the back, school board member. Thank you all for being here. And most importantly, thank you for the citizens here. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Carpenter. And we will take questions at the end after Dr. Rayleigh's presentation. And I think board members will probably stick around if you want to talk to us individually as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ms. Lumpkins, and thank you all for being here tonight. I want to welcome every one of you. Ms. Lumpkins just did, but it means a lot to your county staff, your team, your elected officials. When we do an event like this, we look out and we see citizens who care and citizens who are concerned and interested in their community. When you're an organization that embraces transparency like we do, events like this, they're fun, they're enjoyable. We look forward to those opportunities to spend time. Tonight, I'm going to paint you a picture about Goochland County, but it's a picture with numbers and statistics. It's going to be a story about commitments that have been made and promises that are kept. And it's a story about people, values, drive, and determination. Of course, this is where we are. This is our last town hall, our 3rd one. We've done several already throughout the first couple of weeks of this month, and finishing up tonight here at Central High School. So, what are we going to accomplish with this budget? Well, I'm going to start with the basics. Goochland's economy remains strong. Our housing permits continue to stay strong. Commercial, retail building has picked up. Signs don't show that it's slowing down. Now, because of a strong economy, we continue to meet all the board's established financial policies. The budget you're going to see tonight keeps public safety and education as a priority. In fact, it accounts now for about 50% of all our spending. In this budget, we're going to propose no increase in real estate taxes, and in fact, we're working to lower some. Because of the budget, we remain competitive with our regional peers through cost of living and market adjustment for employee salaries. So in summary, this budget, we're going to continue to invest in our future with education and public safety leading the way. So let's talk funding. Let's talk spending. When you, let's start with our revenues, because that's what we start with. And we start with our assessed values of the county. The assessed value of the county continues to grow. And this is because a combination of new development and growth in existing property values, strong growth in new housing, commercial, and retail results in the total assessed value of Goochland County rising to $7.84 billion. Personal property values have risen overall as well. Values of existing vehicles, though, have dropped approximately 20% from last year. When you look at the revenues of it, the total revenues of this county coming in, you'll see that right now about $138 million is the total value of the revenues coming in, spread about 50% in taxes, and the rest through other sources that'll be coming from there. When you get to the general fund, it's about $86.5 million in our general fund. And the general fund is divided mostly amongst, again, property taxes, local taxes, and state aid that comes in. Now let's talk spending. So let's get started at the high spending, all the governmental funds in Goochland County. Total spending for all government funds is about $140 million. A lot of money. However, most of that does not go to what people generally think of when they think of the county. The actual county government, in fact, 65% of that $140 million goes to education, debt, utilities, and capital improvements. Okay. When you got to narrow it down into the general fund itself, again, is about $86.5 million. Now, of that $86.5 million, the vast majority of that's going to go to public safety and our courts. About 50% of that goes to public safety and our courts. We talk about the overall budget. Let me show you some of the things to this overall budget that we're talking about. Of the total budget that we have, about $140 million right there. You're going to see the general fund increase by about 9.5%. Utilities a little about 2%. Schools only increased about 0.3%, and our construction in progress capital about 53%. So the total overall budget grew by about 11.5%. I'm going to get into that a little deeper now and talk to you some more about what it is. Public safety. Of the general fund's growth, public safety accounted for a total of 18.1%. All of the county departments were about 3.4% growth. So the total average growth of the budget was 9.5%, but again, 18.1% growth in our public safety funding and 3.4% in our other county departments. So what do you get for our public safety? The commitment's been made to our public safety and our citizens to make sure that we're going to continue to provide the level of quality that you deserve, you desire, and you want. So this budget, we're adding 9 new positions in public safety. We're also making sure that sheriff, fire rescues, and our communication employees receive regionally competitive cost of living increases. But our emergency communication employees are critical to us. They're the spear of the spear. They're our first responders. So they're receiving an additional 8% raise. Why? Because we're in a competitive market. We have to compete with Henrico. We have to compete with Chesterfield. They're putting money into those positions. And if we don't make sure that our employees have the same opportunities, they will go somewhere else. So we have to do that in order to maintain competitiveness. So when you pick up that phone and call, someone answers it and someone shows up at your house in the time frame that you want it and you need it. Now, schools, as I said, our commitment to education remains strong in this county. Dr. Rayleigh is going to give you a much more in-depth explanation of the school budget. But when I said that the total school budget went up 0.3%, well, actually, you'll see a part of it, local contribution to school funds went up about 5%. That's the money we put into the school budget. Now, as he'll explain to you, other parts of it decreased significantly, over $1 million decrease. So the net result of their budget is an increase of about $100,000 or 0.3%. The utilities fund is actually our second largest fund outside of public safety. But utilities in our county are an independent fund. It's what we call an enterprise fund. It's a business unit of the county. And the utilities are water and sewer. And by law, they have to be self-sufficient. They have to stand on their own 2 feet. So they have to generate the necessary revenue from their own operating expenses from the ratepayers that actually benefit from their services. So there you see this year, $19 million is their budget, growth of about 3%. Now, what drives that, of course, is a small water increase and sewer increase. And so the typical customer bill is going to go up about $4 a month for anybody who has Goochland County utilities providing to them. Our CIP, let's talk about that. I said that was a big part of our budget, and it is. Some years ago, the Board of Supervisors had the wisdom and the foresight to adopt a 25-year plan. Every year we analyze that plan, we review that plan, and we adjust it as necessary. This year, it's about a $25 million plan. And as you see, again, education is about 76% of that. Of course, you know, we've got this amazing school being built, and the Board of Supervisors made sure that the funding was necessary to allow it to be completed. Fire and rescue is in there as well, a sheriff's office, trucks, vehicles, those kinds that we need. We put some additional money in fire rescue to make sure that the fire station we'll be building on the west side of the county will be adequately funded when it comes time to construct it. So as you look at the capital improvement plan, again, $19 million in the school CIP, including 15 for the new elementary school, $2 million to go with the 9.1 we already had set aside for the fire station on Hockett Road in the western part of the county. So let me kind of summarize, and what does this budget do? Well, first of all, it continues to meet or exceed all financial expectations that the board and our citizens expect. Includes cost of living and salary increases for county employees and market comparison analysis and increases as well. We continue to make sure that public safety is a priority, new positions funded, competitive salary increases, and additional salary increases as necessary. We've increased our educational funding by $1.25 million, $19 million for school CIP, and we're also funding necessary studies for the future projects we're going to have to engage in order to ensure that we're able to deal with and accommodate the growth that is coming. And again, no increase in our real estate tax rate, our Tuckahoe Creek Service District tax rate, and further, we're looking to see where we can decrease those taxes still as we move forward through the rest of this budget. We've still got opportunities ahead of us, if you want to use that word, an opportunity. Inflation is coming. We know it is. We've got to make sure that we figure that in. Is there going to be a recession? Everyone tells us there will, so we have to analyze that and be ready for it. We know that there's a continued desire from our community to grow our public safety, to make sure that we maintain that ability to respond when needed, where needed, as often as needed. We've got a growing community population. Just driving here, I saw the for sale and sold signs on properties along 522. Public funding from the Commonwealth, well, it keeps dropping, so we got to keep raising our local support of it. Constantly increasing health insurance costs, and again, whatever the General Assembly and the federal government decide to do, they're always the gift that keeps giving. So we always have to remember and be prepared for what they're going to do through unfunded mandates to us. So we keep aware of that, and on top of that, our staff is very aware of those issues as we look at our budgets going forward. So here's the schedule for that budget. As you see, we've already gone through our town halls. Our next meeting will be April 4th. April 4th will be the public hearings on the budget down at the government center, the administration building, and the courthouse itself. That's what we'll be talking about, our tax rate and our ad valorem rates, as well as the budget itself. Encourage everybody to come out, see the budget in great detail, ask any questions you may have. Then April 18th, the budget would be adopted by the Board of Supervisors. Now, again, this is a high-level overview I'm giving you tonight. I'll be glad to talk more about it. The supervisors will, and those 2 dates, you'll additionally have opportunities publicly to come and look at our budget and see where we're going. And of course, I always like to throw in the animal shelter in my talks. If you haven't been to the animal shelter lately, yeah, we've got some great dogs and cats there that are always looking for their forever home. They're open, you see, Tuesdays through Sundays. Come on and get them. They're great. They need you. They love you. They want you. So let's move on a little from the budget now and just kind of talk to you about some of the other things we're doing in Goochland County. Okay. First of all, as you know, we had a bond referendum not too long ago. 85% of our voters approved a bond referendum that has allowed us to start doing what you now see happening. Our elementary school is being built. There you see the groundbreaking for it. And also we have funding that's going to allow the West Creek Fire Station, that there's a maybe an example of what it might look like at some point, an overview of the design for it over in the West Creek part of this county. In addition to that, this part of the county certainly sees and understands the need for internet. So back in 2021, we announced the Firefly announcement. In 2021, the end of it, the $79 million grant was announced as well. So what does that mean for Goochland County? Well, you see the breakdown of the statistics over in the Crozier area. The Port 80 is almost completed their backbone of what they're doing. Port 80, they've built over 28 miles of fiber to date. The Firefly Broadband is awarded their grant. They've been doing the work now. 320 miles of fiber connecting 3,500 passengers are going to be within Goochland County because of Firefly. The county is contributing, in addition to the grant funding, over $3.6 million. If you've seen bucket trucks around, for example, if you've been out on Whitehall, you might have seen some. On Highway 6, you might have seen some. If you've seen those over on Haynesville Fife Road, that's Firefly expanding out on what they call the middle mile. The power lines that Dominion has, they're running middle mile that'll then tie into the houses once they get it run up. So the map, again, this shows you, again, this part of the county, and the yellow is what's called the Rise area. That's the part of it that is part of the Firefly footprint and the grant funding that we've received. Again, it's all supposed to be done by the end of 2024. We'll be able to answer more of these questions later if you have any about them. Moving on from there, our village plans. We have 2 village plans that are underway. Currently, the attendance group was brought in not too long ago to give a fresh perspective of what we're doing with our village plans and to make sure that they continue to be developed so that we can present them to the board in the late spring for further consideration and approval, but focusing on a few things, focusing on regulating principles that identify appropriate development in our neighborhoods, our villages, and balancing the character of each village and encouraging the preservation of them. We anticipate in late spring that these will be coming up. Any public input that was received in the time frame we've been looking at these has been incorporated in all this. If you're on the western part of the county, this obviously doesn't affect us too much, but I'll still say this is a huge project the county's doing. We're having to rebuild our force main over in the western part of the county. It's about a $9 million project. We'd like to show that as an example that the county has to keep even years later after something put in the ground, you got to go back and fix it. You got to go back and replace it. That's one of the downsides of being a local government is you're never done. You finish with one project, you got to come back and replace it and fix it and upgrade it some years later. So that's a replacement of our force main on the the western part of, the eastern part of the county. Talking too fast. Let's talk transportation. Mr. Lumpkins mentioned that. And there's a number of transportation projects out. Going to start in the courthouse area right here. The fairgrounds, the Sandy Hook Road, the intersection, the roundabout. You've been seeing it. It's coming. Well, it's really coming soon. In about a couple of weeks, they're going to be closing down the fairgrounds section for up to 4 to 6 months if it takes that long for them to get it completed. Hopefully much sooner than that. There will be 522 will remain open, so you'll be able to still take 522 in, and then Dixon Road will be the way that you get around as a detour from that. The extension, the fairgrounds extension, where engineering is underway. That is the part that will continue on around to Highway 6. We hope to be able to advertise for construction in 2025 on that project, so it can be completed in a reasonable amount of time. We recently also did a study, a corridor study, we call it the Fairgrounds Road Corridor Study, which was analyzing that whole corridor for safety issues to get a better idea of what are some of the projects that could be enacted, could be engaged in by the county to make it a safer and better road. So the study is completed and it's been presented to the county for us to consider going forward. Additional things, the Oilville Road I-64 interchange, it's received $4 million from the federal government. It's going to alleviate traffic concerns on the westbound ramps. We're in the process of trying to put together the rest of the funding necessary in order to build it. Also, in again, the far eastern part of the county, there's a study that's been approved that would look at building a new interchange at some point in the future. No time soon, but that would essentially alleviate a lot of the traffic problems and would connect Wilkes Ridge Road to Highway 288. Moving further into the eastern part of the county, the Ashland Road I-64, that interchange, what we call the DDI, the Divergent Diamond Intersection. If you've been over to Zion's Crossroad, that's what one of those is. So right now we're pursuing additional funds. We've got commitments secured. We look to be able to start advertising and bidding for the award of the construction, hopefully sometime in 2028 or sooner for that. That'll make a major improvement to traffic around there. Another that's already underway is the Ashland Road Park and Ride Lot. That's already been, they're awarding that bid, and we hope to have it construction in 2025. If you drive that section of the county, the Hockett Road realignment, again, this is the Hockett Road section that would connect you from Hockett Road straight up into the Ashland Road corridor and then up to the interstate. So you wouldn't have to make that funny little jog that you have to do right now in order to get through it. Again, it's fully funded. We hope to begin engineering the end of this year and construction and probably in about 2 or 3 years from there. What else are we doing? Well, lately, for whatever reason, those of y'all who know football, there's a coach called Lou Holtz. And years ago, Lou Holtz took on a job. The state I come from, South Carolina, and he made a comment soon after being there. He said, the people in South Carolina must have the cleanest cars in this country because these roads are the dirtiest I've ever seen. And for a while, that's what Gooch was starting to look like. We were starting to get a bunch of trash on the roads. So we're doing a countywide cleanup on April 22nd. We're going to have a couple places that you can go to pick up trash bags and materials. You can go to Central High School right here, or you can go to the administration building and pick up your bags. And we encourage you to pre-register, but come and join and help us make sure this county stays the beautiful place that it is. Other stuff we're doing right now is our fire rescues, and right in the middle of a community engagement study and a survey. And we want to know what people think about where we are and where we need to be for fire rescue. So there's a QR code right there. You'll be able to see it if you get the papers in the back, or you can go online and complete a survey. Please take chance or take the time to do it, because your opinion does mean a lot to us in understanding where we need to be going with our fire and rescue service. And that leads me to just how you can get in touch with us. These are the kind of things we enjoy. When I say we enjoy these kinds of meetings, we do. It means a lot to us to talk to citizens, to see citizens. And these are some of the ways that you can engage with us. Of course, we've always got the county's website. Encourage you to sign up for website notifications. Those will then let you know when something's happening on the website. Our Facebook page, our Twitter account as well. Code Red, if you're not a member of Code Red, please do. When we have disasters or crises or something that's an emergency, we can reach out and identify you if you sign up for Code Red. Of course, I hope everyone here's got our Sheriff's app. If you don't have the Sheriff's app, you need it because it'll tell you from roads that are closed and problems that are happening. That's just important to know. So everyone should have the Sheriff's app. Come to our Board of Supervisors meeting the first Tuesday of every month. They start at 2 o'clock and then start back again at 6 o'clock. We also post on our website all the information like this, board meetings, minutes, reports. They're all on our website. You can also dig in our website and get transparency reports. You can get our budget, you can get our audits, you can get our checkbook, you can see everything we're doing because we believe that people should always be able to go online or find out what's happening in their government. So please take part in any or all of these ways to get engaged with us as a community. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Raley so we can keep the conversation going about our schools.
Thank you, board member Moore. Get us started. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. For those of you I haven't had an opportunity to meet yet, I'm Angela Allen, and I thought I wasn't loud enough. We'll start over. Thank you. I'm Angela Allen. I'm the school board member for District 2, and I have the pleasure of serving as your vice chair at this time. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to connect with me either during or after tonight's presentation with any questions you may have about what's going on in our schools or how we can better support you. There's no sugarcoating it. There are challenges before us, but with challenges come great opportunities. And so I'm excited about what's happening in our schools, the quality education that we're providing nearly 2,600 students every day, and look forward to seeing what the future holds. I don't want to steal any of Dr. Raley's thunder because he's got a great story to share with you, but do let me know how I can be of service. Ms. Horn?
Good evening, I'm Karen Horn. I'm currently serving District 3, and Angela forgot to mention that we are switching. So this November, because of the election, the redistricting, my home is now and will be in District 2, and Angela's will be in District 3. So if you see 2s or 3s by our names, don't be so confused. That is what has occurred. Yes, Dr. Raley is going to be sharing some great information with us. One of the slides that was shared this evening from the county side talked about the assessed real estate values in this county. And I think we all know that a big driver of our real estate value would be our public schools. We do have amazing public schools. We know people come to Goochland to be a part of our schools. So I'm very proud of that. And I know what our schools do for the community as a whole. Education is not a line item in a school board's budget. It is the only item. So you will hear from Dr. Raley tonight how everything we do goes back to, I mean, it's education. Everything is education. You all received this annual report this year and the amazing data that is on this page. 159 of our 210 graduates at the class of 2022 earned advanced study diplomas. 53 earned associate's degrees. 59 early college scholars. 6 students completed the Academy for Architecture and Construction graduates. 54% went on to a 4-year college, 16% 2-year college, 8% other education, 3%, we are proud to say, enlisted in the military, and 19% went to employment. Those are powerful statistics. You will also be able to find what's called a program of studies on our school division website. And if you were to look at that, you would know why our students earned those opportunities post high school, because our program is amazing. So as I said, education is not a line item in a school board's budget. It is the only item. And how does that occur? Because we have a mission. And our mission is to maximize the potential of every learner. And this gentleman right here, Dr. Raley, wow, darn it. He's been with us since 2016. And you know that he has been lifted up to the Department of Education. And so we're really sad to be losing him because he has been a man on a mission since the day he came to our school division. He represents that mission. He leads this entire Goochland School Board, Goochland, every teacher, family member, staff member, and student to reach that and be a part of that mission every day. So I would like for us all to please recognize Dr. Raley and his service to our division. This man on a mission has taken that mission to the state, and we hope that he will just lift the state up because we all will benefit from his service at that level. So please join me in and thank him.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Ms. Horn. The mission of the superintendent is to support the school board and make sure that our work is aligned. And it's been a pleasure to serve this community as division superintendent for the last 7 years. We have a fantastic community here. We do. A community that values public education and supports us greatly. And it's just really been an honor to be a part of this work for the past 7 years. And I do look forward to supporting education across the Commonwealth and hopefully making a positive difference on a larger scale. And I'm humbled by the opportunity to serve in that role. My goal for tonight is to provide a little bit of background about our school division for those that may not have the experience that other members of our community do related to what we do. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, but some folks, this may be the first time that you've had an opportunity to learn a little bit more about us. So I wanted to start with a foundational perspective first, and the vision of our school division, a vision that was established by the board that was elected in 2011, and a vision that we have continued through for the past several years, and as part of our current strategic plan, is to inspire this generation of students whom we serve to make a positive impact on the world around us. And ultimately, if we're doing our jobs, the students that we are educating now are well educated and trained, and they'll make a positive difference for all of us. All of us certainly are impacted by education, and that's ultimately what we want to do, is prepare them very well for their future. And we do that every day, and the mission that drives us as a school division is to maximize the potential of each and every learner who we serve. And then we have 5 core values that really are non-negotiable beliefs. And again, these core values have been around in our school division since that 2011 board adopted them and have continued. Why change it if it's working? And so we believe strongly in excellence, not mediocrity, not so-so, not halfway. Like, excellence drives us every day. Courage, creativity, honor, and optimism, a core belief that all students can and will succeed, and believing strongly that every child can be successful. And so that really drives us greatly on our work every day. And then our current strategic plan has 3 strategic objectives, one related to instruction, one related to the environment that we create with the personnel whom we hire, and then one that recognizes the resources that we invest in related specifically to our operational aspect of our school division. So our public school division is strong. It is a very strong school division, and I'm proud to say that we've accomplished a lot during our time together. And I wanted to highlight some of those investments and those dividends that have been returned as a result of what this community does for us. This community invests over $40 million in public education. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's your hard-earned tax dollars that you've worked hard for and you have entrusted in this county, in this school division. And I want to let you know that your tax dollars are being invested wisely and are returning a significant investment in well-trained, well-educated students. They've been recognized in a variety of ways. One of those things that we're really proud of as a school division is that we are utilizing technology to support instruction, not as the tool, but as a tool. Ultimately, we are preparing students for the world outside of high school, and we know that technology has to be a critical part of that. And so we're giving students in preschool through 12th grade the opportunity to have best-in-class technology and are utilizing that very effectively to support instruction. It's been recognized by Apple, as there are only 700 schools worldwide that have been recognized for the use of technology in an appropriate way. We have 5 schools, all 5 of ours have been recognized by Apple for the great work that we're doing with technology. 5 years in a row, this school division has been recognized by Niche as the #1 school division in this region. We've been recognized in the top 15 of school divisions across this Commonwealth. We've been recognized for safety, athletics, the experience that students have. And what's nice by niche is that is informed not only by data, but in experiences that folks have with our school division. This is one of those sites where people go and say, well, how are the schools doing in your community? There are many of them, but niche is one of them that's been recognized for 5 years in a row, been ranked #1 in the Richmond metro region for the great work that we're doing. I'm extremely proud of that. So as this community does invest $40 million in public education, we want to make sure that we are, in fact, being strong stewards of your taxpayer dollars. And so the Government Finance Officers Association is a nationally recognized professional organization that analyzes budget practices with municipal, statewide, local governments across this nation. And so we submit our budget book to them on an annual basis. We just submitted our 2023 budget book to them for their consideration. It'll be a few months before we find out how we did. But for our FY 2022 submission, we were recognized among some very elite company for a distinguished budget award, and really proud of that. And huge thanks to our finance team for their significant work in making that happen. So all that is good. It's actually great. But are we getting results? Are students learning? And so, yes, you're investing a lot of dollars, you got a few rewards, but are students performing academically? And the answer to that question is yes. Our students are performing extremely well on standardized assessments and are using a variety of metrics to look at both growth and achievement. So the standards of learning are the assessments that we administer at the end of the year to determine whether or not our students are meeting a minimum proficiency. And so accreditation and accountability are linked together right now. And so Goochland is only one of 10 school divisions, or 132 statewide, one of 10 school divisions that have had all of its schools fully accredited for over 10 years now. So our students are achieving, our students are learning, and they are successful on that measurement where we compare ourselves to other school divisions across this state. We like to compete. We always want to see how we're doing statewide and locally. And we have some strong metrics here. You can see some other school divisions around us and how we are in the upper echelon of performance when it comes to achievement on the SOL results. And we are exceeding state averages on all core assessments, those being reading, mathematics, history, and science. So our students are performing. We are getting results. Again, another sign of the strong school division that we have here in Goochland. We exceed the state average on-time graduation by nearly 5%. This is an extremely strong result because ultimately, if we're inspiring the next generation, we're preparing for students for school after high school, they got to graduate. They got to have the skills to be successful long after they leave high school. And so if you're there 5 years, the chances are you may not be as successful as someone who graduates on time, gets the core program, and is ready to go. 97% of our kids who walk in the door as a freshman are walking out the door as a Goochland High School graduate in 4 years. And so ultimately our goal is to make this 100%, but the reality is some of these things are out of our control. We're about 2 or 3 kids away. And sometimes a student moves away and we don't hear anything from them. We don't know where they go. And ultimately that's held against us. So, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to take excuses. We're going to find a way to get this to 100%. And ultimately that's our goal, but it's certainly a point of pride for us all. And then our students have the ability to attend any college or university in this state or in this nation. We have a young man who is attending the Coast Guard Academy, an appointment, the first appointment we've had in many, many years in the school division. We're going to recognize at the April school board meeting a young man who earned a $120,000 scholarship for the Army ROTC. So our students are very well prepared. I mean, that is life-changing for a family, as you can imagine, having an appointment at that level. So our students are not only entering 2- and 4-year colleges, they are gainfully employed if they choose to do that out of high school. Our students in our heavy equipment program are getting job offers in the fall of their senior year, multiple job offers. They have choice, and they're going to make more coming right out of high school than a first-year teacher. And so our students have options. They have choices, and we also recognize we want students to be career ready. And career ready looks different for each and every child. It may not be going to one of these colleges and universities, but they have options, they have choices, and they've been very, very well prepared. So let's talk a little bit about the needs that have been identified by our school division. Our school board has approved a budget request that is now under consideration by the Goochland County Board of Supervisors. And so I just want to unpack those just a little bit. I want to hit high-level summaries. There's a lot of information in detail through websites and public presentations, but I'll just hit the highlights. We organized this in 3 different goal areas. The first goal area is specifically related to instruction. And so we have a few positions that we need to continue the strong work of the school division. We have some part-time positions that are really critical for us to be able to continue. We have some need to support our students in reading at Goochland Middle School. And then we have a really dire need for a secondary science teacher. We have some class sizes that are increasing. We have some demands that are placed on us right now that really require that. So overall, 4.5 new positions, and you'll see later in the presentation that we've made some adjustments and we've reduced a lot of positions as well. So overall, as a school division, our employment base is down, but here are some investments in this goal area here and some investments to support our advanced learners, graduation, and some other inflationary pressures as a result of our ongoing operations. So $500,000 in new investments for this goal area. Our second goal area specifically relates to the environment that we provide for our students, our staff, and our families. And so this is a significant investment because this goal area is attributed to the personnel needs that we have as a school division. A few positions that we are recommending in this budget. You can see some student support positions there, as well as some increases towards salary and benefit costs in order to be able to retain and attract highly qualified and talented folks in our school division. This is a significant investment of $1.8 million in this school area. And as I'll show later, this is where the vast majority of our dollars are spent in our budget. Last goal area is specifically related to operations. And so a negligible investment of $352,000, a lot of that being tied to higher fuel costs, which we are all experiencing in our own wallets, as well as some inflationary adjustments that we're experiencing just with food costs. So just like we experience in our home, we're seeing the same thing in our school division. And you can see the majority of the increases here are directly related to those core operational objectives. So one of the things we do as a school division, I think might be unique in most public school divisions. A lot of school divisions, they take their current budget and say, okay, what else do we need? And we just add on to what we already had. But what we do is we scrub each and every budget line and we say, okay, are those dollars that are being spent, are they worthwhile? Are we getting the return on the investment for those dollars that are spent? And you'll see in a slide here in a moment that we've changed some things. We're not getting the return there that we need. How about we use those dollars and reinvest them into the priorities that have been identified as a school division? And so doing that, we call it strategic abandonment. We're over $400,000 of reinvestment that have allowed us to accomplish our strategic objectives. And so you can see here where we are making some staffing changes. We're reducing some of our staff in order to provide those opportunities that are most needed from our instructional standpoint, some savings in some of our special education programming, and just a variety of things where we have scrubbed every budget line. We've looked at software costs. We've looked at many, many different things, and ultimately saving $427,000 in 3 full-time equivalencies. So in summary, this is a balanced budget, and I'm proud that we are able to provide a balanced budget. And as Mr. Carpenter said, this budget overall is only 0.3% higher than our current budget. And the overall budget is $104,000 greater next year than it is this year. And a lot of that is a direct result of the funding cliff that we experienced with federal dollars that were infused into the school division. Those dollars have dried up. A lot of people call it the funding cliff. We haven't fallen over. We're still standing tall. And I'll share with you a little bit why we're still standing tall. So just a negligible increase, as you can see there. And so proud of what we're able to do with this budget, quite honestly. If you think of only getting $104,000 more in money, and we're able to provide salary increases, benefit increases, and needed positions, it's pretty extraordinary what we're able to accomplish. $40.6 million in total investments for public education. 78 cents on every dollar goes directly into the classroom for instruction or for technology. So every dollar, 78 cents is going directly to our core business, which is teaching and learning. So we do have some support functions that we have to do to make sure that the buildings are clean and the students get to school and they're safe, but that is not the most significant portion of this budget. And we are a very people-heavy organization. We're not a manufacturing plant that can have 5 or 6 employees and a bunch of machines. That's just not public education. Public education is a people business, and we are successful because of those amazing folks who do the great work of this school division. So 84 cents on every dollar goes directly towards the salary and benefits of our highly dedicated and talented employees. So the big question is, how do we fund this budget? Where do the resources come from? And so I continue to be thankful for the support that we get from you and your neighbors and Goochland County residents who your personal property taxes, your real estate taxes that are generated in this community come to the school division through the form of a local transfer. And as Mr. Carpenter said, that local transfer is proposed to be $1.251 million greater next year than it is this year. And we live and die by the support provided by Goochland County residents, because 68% of the revenue for this budget is generated directly from personal property and real estate value. Now, I would submit that 100% of these dollars are generated by Goochland County residents. Some of it just goes to Richmond and DC and takes a little bit of time before it comes back to us. But it's all generated here in Goochland, but 68% comes directly from your real estate and your personal property taxes. So balanced budget, as I said, our additional investments equal the additional revenue, and you can see the major impact there is that loss in federal revenue. And again, $104,000 in additional increases. And I'm proud to say that it is a balanced budget that the school board has presented for consideration. So transitioning for a second, capital improvement planning, and Mr. Carpenter hit many of these highlights. The county has made a significant investment in facilities, and very grateful for that. To have an 85% approval rating on a bond referendum a few years ago is something that just doesn't happen. But this community has supported law enforcement and fire and rescue and schools to a great degree. And again, I'm extremely grateful for that. Communities don't do that, but Goochland has. And so thank you for your continued support on that. Excited about this project, and I wish that I could see it all the way through, but I will be there on day one as much as possible. It's really an amazing school, and you know, we're moving like gangbusters on this. The pictures I want to show you here in a second are only like 2 weeks old, but that site looks nothing like it does now. They started to pour concrete this week. We have footers that have been dug and concrete that is going in those footers, and it will not be long before we see a concrete pad on that site. And then after that, we're going to see steel coming up out of the ground. So thankfully, Mother Nature has been kind to us. We've had great weather. It hasn't helped, you know, some of those that want a snow day. But for this construction project, it's been great. We made tremendous progress. And I dare say that our community will be extremely proud when we open the doors of this school in August of 2024. We are fully on schedule to open on that timeline. And right now, we have not had any issues with our budget. We're really in a very positive position with this project right now. And again, want to thank all of you for your ongoing support of that. I will be here with board members as well as county staff to answer any questions that we may have. Thank you.
No. Not just any questions for anybody? And Neil Spoonhour, why don't you want to come on up and join us? I said you were running behind, but glad you're here. Neil Spoonhour again. He's our board chair this year and represents District 2. Do y'all have any questions on Ms. Hobbs?
Question for Dr. Rayleigh. Dr. Rayleigh, congratulations and thank you for your service that you provided over the last 7 years. And we want to wish you well as you move into the next level of your career.
Thank you.
Both of you I'm asking to answer is, we've heard how well we are doing in the county government. We've heard how well we are doing at the college, at the high school, the school level. The question is, what's the top 3 challenges you have for the county government as well as public schools?
Well, Ms. Hobbs, and Dr. Rayleigh may echo some of these for us. Obviously, the first challenge that we have is retaining and attracting quality personnel. This is a challenging job market we're in. The opportunities for people in other communities are maybe greater financially than we're able to provide, but we have to provide them an environment and the ability to survive as breadwinners in the family. So that's the first thing which I would say for the county is making sure that we have a workforce. Our public safety, our individuals in planning and zoning, everyone is desired. We have great people here. We have great members of our team. People want them. So that's number one is the opportunity. Number 2 is looking forward. What's coming? we've been fortunate for the last couple of years that our economy has blessed us. And we are in a location where we are able to reap the benefits of the good economy. But what's coming is something that is a challenge, and we've got to make sure we're aware of it. So seeing what's coming to us, not just necessarily this year, but in 3 to 5 years, that's part of our job too, is planning and ensuring that this community is able to be served by the resources that we are given and asked to provide them those services too. And the number 3 is anticipating what's going to come to the county, not just the economy, but the growth that's going to come to us. So from Goochland County, what does that mean? What does that look like? As we are we responding to growth as it comes, before it comes, or not responding at all? So I would say those are the 3 challenges I see. Attracting and retaining employees, dealing with whatever's going to come to us as far as our economic wins, and ensuring that we're aware of growth and how it's going to impact us and respond to it accordingly.
I'm glad Vic went first, gave me a few minutes to think. Appreciate that. Well, number 1 is our people. The successes that I showed on that screen are a direct result of the folks that enter school buses at 6:30 in the morning and treat our students in our clinics, clean our buildings, administer our programs, and teach our kids. So we have to make sure that those employees have a competitive compensation plan. Over 50% of our teachers drive from outside of Goochland, and they have choice. They oftentimes drive by 3 or 4 schools before they come to Goochland. So they're coming here for a reason. And we need to make sure that we don't ever take that experience for granted, and that ultimately they want to continue to be a part of the school division. Because like county employees, our teachers could go and work in any school division they choose to. They can. So ultimately, we need to make sure that we're providing that environment where they feel valued and appreciated, and they're compensated appropriately too. So it's the people, number 1. Number 2 is we have to remain current and relevant. We have to be able to adapt to the changing conditions that are going to happen in public education over the next 5, 10, 20 years. What we've experienced since March of 2020 is not anything we thought we could ever forecast. But our school division was nimble, we were flexible, and we worked to be able to overcome any of those challenges that we've experienced. And there will be more challenges in future years, there will be. But how do we overcome some of those challenges and adapt to some of the changing conditions that may be in our control or outside of our control? And then number 3 is our facilities. Community's made a great investment in facilities. They have, there's no doubt about that. But we also have some pretty old elementary schools that are still being utilized, and our high school is now 20 years old. So we need to continually make sure that we're taking care of the infrastructure for our facilities, and then thinking long-term about what new facilities may look like.
Yep, I think Ms. Strozer, right?
My comments are for Vice Chair Allen. Is there a cognitive issue that you have that we aren't aware of that makes you continually propose intrusive policies copied from a right-wing school board in Hanover, whose policy wouldn't pass judicial muster in federal court? How many times do you need to be told that Goochland would be open to a federal lawsuit? I don't want my tax dollars to pay for your Don Quixote-like crusade to intrude on student rights in our schools. Also, what exactly is a disruptor, and why do you feel that Goochland needs someone to disrupt an award-winning school district? Oxford Dictionary says a disruptor is a person or thing that interrupts an event, activity, or process by causing a disturbance or a problem. The other definition is a company or form of technology that causes radical change in an existing industry or market by means of innovation. I don't see innovation from you. What exactly, and as a school administrator myself, I find your tactics to pose yourself as a disruptor and gain following and community disturbing. Regarding your behavior regarding the Apple contract, you had ample time from Thursday when you received your board packet to inquire about interest rates and the terms of the Apple contract, which has been nothing new here in Goochland. It's renewed yearly. All you did was grandstand and try to embarrass school personnel. How would you feel if somebody did that to you at Capital One in your job? The school district is embroiled in a manufactured crisis of books, bathrooms, and BS. Your public views or political views have no place in the school. To paraphrase Senator Kane, this is what is needed now in school divisions. Parents should be able to drop their kids off at school, public or private, and not worry about whether they're going to be able to pick them up at the end of the day. Students should learn the truth about our history, the good and the bad. And students' ability to learn shouldn't be limited by the automatic veto of one parent who wants to ban a book, movie, or artwork for their kid. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Winkler. I heard several comments, but only maybe 2 questions. If I overlook any of your questions, please follow up so I make sure I answer them. First of all, I appreciate your feedback. My job is to effectively represent the people I serve. And the majority of people whom I serve have expressed these as their views and desires as how our school should be operated. This is not a personal agenda. I am representing the voices of the voters in District 2. Many of them are here tonight, and I would dare say would support exactly what I'm telling you. So if you think otherwise, I encourage you to speak with them as well. As far as how I'm approaching things, I'm on a continuous learning agenda. I believe in improvement, self-improvement, constantly reinvesting. So I will take your feedback under consideration and look to do better. For the matter related to interest on a lease for the purchase of staff laptops, it actually had not occurred to me in the review of the agenda packet. And I do have agenda prep with Dr. Rayleigh and Ms. Barefoot Reed. And during those conversations, it just simply had not occurred to me. So I'm not a machine. I am a human and therefore fallible. And when the opportunity and the questions when Ms. White was presenting that, I thought, wait a second, let's challenge our own thinking. Let's look for what's possible. Let's press on the edges here. It was most certainly not to humiliate Ms. White, and I publicly thanked her on Monday night upon approval of said lease. We need to be willing to be transparent, have thick enough skin to have appropriate discord as both staff, school board, and a community, and be able to stand up for what's right, even when it may not be popular. Thank you.
Ms. Joseph.
Hi, thanks. So in the spirit of transparency, many people know by now, but certainly not all, that on February 11th of this year, Supervisor Lastelet demanded the contact info of all parents and guardians of students in the Goochland County Public School system. She received that information. Some may not know that on June 9th, 2021, an election year for Angela Allen, the same exact date of demand was made by our current electoral board chair, Pam Johnson. I'd like to know, and those parents whose personal information was released would like to know, whether candidates Karen Worsing or candidate and school board member Angela Allen benefited in any way by that list. I've asked Lastelet directly and was told it was none of my business and none of the business of the people whose information was released. I keep having people ask me, what are they using it for? Is it for candidates to get elected? Is it to come after me because I spoke up against their side in the school board? And Supervisor Spoonhour spoke for the board to echo what Lastelet said when asked, essentially that it's not the business of the parents or guardians on that list what she uses it for. So I'm just going to ask one more time, because people really do want to know, what was that list used for? A list of parents and guardians of Goochland County Public School System. There are also people on there whose kids have IEPs who aren't in our physical schools. And they want to know, what did you need that list for if you're not a parent of any of these students? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Yeah, I'm familiar. I've seen the emails. There's I mean, it's been going back and forth. Our county attorney responded to at least some of the initial, but I know you've been following up. We're here for District 2, District 3. Maybe Neil, do you want to, I saw your email, so.
Sure. So thanks for the question. And I'll just reiterate what I actually did say in my reply to you, Mr. Schroeder, is that as our county attorney and as the board is deemed, that this is a personal matter. Ms. Lastelet does not forfeit her rights as a citizen. What she did was completely legal. And if Ms. Lastelet wants to reply to that, she will, but it is not a board matter. The board did not ask Ms. Lastelet to do it. She did it as a personal private citizen. And just because we're up here and we're elected, we don't give up our rights as citizens.
Also a higher standard.
Ms. Hobbs, microphone's coming to you. Wait a second.
I do want to comment on something that Ms. Allen made tonight about representing the interests of her constituents. I happen to be one of her constituents. And the grandmother that has come before the school board a number of times has been one of her constituents. And I haven't had an opportunity to attend a town hall meeting or anything with Ms. Allen to give her input other than at the school board meeting. So I don't know if I missed the meeting. I certainly haven't heard from Ms. Allen except with the school board meeting. So I just want to know how was input from the District 2 gained.
Thank you for your question, Ms. Hobbs. Specific to the grandmother who's come before the school board with comments, that is a legal matter and a student matter of privacy. So I'm not able to speak to that either individually or publicly. As far as feedback specifically related to bathroom and locker room access concerns in our school, as you're well aware, anyone who's seen a Gazette in the last 2 months in this county, I posed a question on my campaign Facebook page and a number of people shared comments on both sides of the issue. Many reached out offline, in person, by email, both, through phone calls and so forth. So that was the extent of my information gathering. I am not conducting a formal survey of folks in my district, but I certainly welcome your feedback at any time, Ms. Hobbs. So I'm available to you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Couple of questions. Dr. Ray talked about the teachers having to drive by schools to live out here. Is there anything in this community plan that's taking place to build something that the teachers can live out here? And the second question is there any plan to fix Rock Castle Road, the mess they made last fall is there?
Few questions. I'm glad that, but I'm going to let Mr. Carpenter, Neil and I will follow up. That's a great question. I'll take the second one first. Maybe that's easy. Rock Castle Road.
Okay,
I can answer that.
okay. Well, always let someone else take a question.
Yeah.
So that is a great question. Unfortunately, so Rock Castle Road is in the process of being totally repaved, similar to what happened with Whitehall Road. The process that they use, they come by and they patch first, and it does make a mess. Whitehall Road was an absolute mess for quite a while. They want to let that sit for a season, but it is on schedule to be completely repaved this year. So it will be smooth and it'll be much better. And I'll let you handle it.
As regards the kind of development that Neil's a lot taller than I am, I guess. As regards to the development and the ability for housing, Goshen is a community that people want to live in, and it makes it a market that is very desirable. And so builders in this county are building what the market is asking for. And so the homes that they're building generally have a price point that's higher than they are in, say, Chesterfield or Henrico. And so at this point, we don't have the ability to require them to build less than they're building, nor do we have the ability to manage the price points of the houses they're building. So as they build these homes and these houses, they're responding to what the people are willing to buy. And that leads us to a situation where it is not easy to find a home below a certain price point in this county. And the new homes that are looking to come in on the market are, again, going to be in a range that a lot of our employees can't afford to live. And that is one of the challenges when I talked about keeping and attracting employees. That's one of the challenges I have is the number of our employees who don't live in Goochland County that work for Goochland County. What can we do as an organization to support them? We're a community that believes in the free market, and we're not looking to get involved in things that are beyond our purview. We're not builders, we're not developers, and we're not trying to get in that market, but we do have legitimate needs. We have deputies. When you drive in other counties, you see a Goochland County sheriff's vehicle sitting in a driveway because that's where they're able to live. So we hope at some point to be able to at least have some ability to influence for some of those teachers and deputies and firemen so they can afford to live in this county.
I'll agree. I agree with what the county administrator just said, but I think it sounded a little bit like we're, we don't have any say. And I would, again, this is a debate we have among ourselves on the board is how to address that problem. The village plans, I'm looking forward to seeing what Timmons, and we should have something very soon, what Timmons is doing. And I've met with them, all of us have met with them. And the issue there, I think where we do have a role is density. And this board has been committed since I got on the school board in 2011 to keeping Goochland rural, but there are growth pressures. So our focus, and it's been in the comprehensive plan for many, many, many years, is to have our growth in the villages in the east end, the core centers in Centerville, 4.9 square miles, Centerville Village, and then in the courthouse village. Because I represent the center of the county, I focus more on, we really are focusing on both, but I can speak a little bit more to the courthouse village. And I think you're going to see some plans come forth where the county is going to have a role in working with the developers and the landowners. And it always comes down to density, but we're going to put density. We've agreed to put the density in the village areas. So stay tuned, because I've talked to you in the past, and I remember when I first got on the board, you said, when people age out, when we age out, why do we have to leave our county if we can no longer live in our homes? And that has stuck with me for many years. And it's part of these conversations. It's part of what Timmons is talking about. It's part of what some landowners in the courthouse are starting to talk about with us. So we are engaged on it. But to what Mr. Carpenter's point was, when we approved Reed Marsh, and I remember that sign went up and it said starting in the 400s. And I'm like, well, that's kind of expensive. But that thing got torn down in like a week, and it didn't even have a price because the prices went up. It was shocking to watch it. So you understand a lot of this is beyond our control, the economy, the supply chain, the developers, and the land is expensive in Goochland. But I think you're going to see some improvement in that as we firm up the village plans. And I know it's a need, and I know this board is committed. To your point, like, I don't want to have to leave the county if and again, the premise was, can our teachers and firefighters and deputies live here? And I think you're going to see some improvement on that front, and we're engaged on the topic.
I have a question for Dr. Bailey. First, I want to thank you for all that you've done for our school system and wish you well as you go up to government appointment, empowering parents and furthering transparency. My question tonight is, how are we ensuring that the teachers that we are interviewing are ones that do reflect and teach our community values so that we can preserve those in Goochland? Because from what I've heard, not just from myself, but from many parents that move out here, and there's been a lot that I've talked to that have currently just recently moved out here in the last few years. And it's because they love our community. They love the people and the values that we have in our community. And so how are we ensuring that because the taxpayers are putting so much of our money towards education, as you had mentioned earlier, how are we ensuring that we're having teachers that do respect and care for our community values in the school system? And the ones that are in the school system, we have so many wonderful teachers. My children have benefited from the majority of all the teachers that my children have been wonderful and have built personal relationships with our family, with our kids. And we so appreciate that. How are the teachers that are currently in there, how do we make sure that they're not bringing in things that are not things that parents want in our school system?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Ms. Wilson. I appreciate that. And then ultimately, we represent 26,000 residents and 2,600 families who send their children to school every day. And we understand that this is a community we serve as employees. And so we work really hard to make sure that we make amazing hires. that when we have the opportunity to interview employees, that it's a fit for Goochland County. And oftentimes those folks that we interview may not be a fit for Goochland County. They may be a fit for another school division, but not Goochland County. And so, as you can imagine, we go through a process of reviewing applications, an interview process with the principal. Right, we are right now sometimes doing 2 levels of interview to make sure that it is in fact the right fit for our school division, because the impact of a child is directly related to the opportunities and experiences and instruction that happens in that classroom. So that classroom teacher oftentimes spends 5, 6, 7 hours a day with that child. And so ultimately it is incumbent upon us to make great hires. Our school board policies guide us if in fact an employee does something that is not aligned with what the school board has adopted. And then ultimately we value excellence. I've said it many times, I'll say it again, as long as I'm in public education, that we're in the business of educating children, not employing adults. And we value excellence. The school division values excellence. So if we have an employee that is not rising to the level of excellence, then we go through our traditional human resources processes to help that individual grow and develop. And if they don't, they're not an employee of our school division. So we do have extremely high standards when it comes to that, because we must have the right employees in our classrooms working with our children every day.
Do we have professional developments to ensure that there is not divisive or content that's being shared inside the classroom? I know one particular issue that experienced her from my own child. I'm doing homework at night and seeing pop-up advertisements on her iPad while she's doing an English assignment. So is that from teachers being able to have a little flexibility, which I understand as a teacher myself, it's good to have some flexibility, but what are the parameters for the school system to ensure that our kids are not being inundated with some of the things that, you know, that they're there for academics and they're not there for other pop-up ads or other things coming up on their iPads?
Yeah, school board has policy on resources. We have a variety of different resources. We have textbook resources that go through a process where we receive selection with input from the community. We have supplementary resources as well. And those supplementary resources are our folks use professional judgment when it comes to those professional resources. And I will tell you that over the course of the past several years, we've had candid conversations with our community, with our teachers, and say, we need to make sure that we are making solid, strong instructional decisions, recognizing that we are in the position of being a role model for the students whom we serve. The school board also adopted a policy in line with legislation related to sexually explicit materials. And so our school board has adopted that, and we've been complying with that policy since that adoption, which I believe was in November or December of this past year. So yes, we have policies, we have training, and ultimately we have administrative expectations of our employees to make sure that they're doing what's right for children every day, making sound instructional decisions.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Public safety, 9 new positions funded. What are they?
Of those public safety positions, 6 of them are in fire and rescue. 2 of them are in the sheriff's office for SROs that came in. And then one of them is, I just blanked what the 9th one was. 911. 911.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
SROs are school resource officers.
I understand.
And Bob, I was just for the rest of the folks, and I was going to say that I think we have, starting this year, 1 in every school. Ms. Heil.
The timeline for the new fire station at Dogtown and Whitehall?
Thank you. The county, as you know, purchased the land for it.
Did we need to repeat the question since he wasn't on the mic?
Y'all get it. Yeah, the question was the timeline for the county fire station on Dogtown Road, and that would be what we call Station 8. So the county owns the land for that. Where right now, though, it's not in the immediate future to build a permanent station. We're looking at ways that we could perhaps put some kind of a temporary station up. That would be in the next 2.5 years. But the actual permanent full-time station is probably about 7-8 years down the road. All right, if y'all have any other questions, we're going to be here. We appreciate again so much y'all taking time to come out tonight. When I started saying this means a lot to us, it does. You know, we put our heart and soul into working for you, the people. So you coming out and talking to us and sharing your questions, your thoughts, your concerns makes it worthwhile. So thank you. We're around if you need us. And again, Godspeed. Good night.